welcome back to the Mike and Andrew Show. I'm Andrew Sorwick here again with Mike Meredith. Mike, again, we didn't have an episode on Thursday last week. There wasn't really a whole lot going on to talk about. But boy, we got the NBA and the NHL Finals today. Mostly, we're just going to do NBA Finals Thursday's episode. We're going to do NHL stuff. But, Mike, how are you doing this evening, man?
Man, I'm doing great. It's finals week, man. Got the actual finals, like fuck finals week for school, but finals week for the NBA and the NHL are both starting this week. NBA starts Thursday and NHL starts Saturday. So it's going to be interesting to see, man. Panthers, Oilers, and then you got the Celtics, Mavericks.
Yeah, and like I said, we're going to do all the NBA finals today. We're going to go into great details, kind of like we did with the Super Bowl this year. And then Thursday's episode, it's going to be the entire NHL, big preview. So let's get into it today. But first, before we get into the NBA, we're going to talk a couple things newsworthy. Biggest thing NHL news-wise today, Joe Pavelski. He has it's not, technically not official, but he is retiring. He said it's not official, but he said this was pretty much his last go. His plan this year really was that he knew next season he was not going to play. So, and you could tell when the playoffs started, especially the he wasn't really able to keep pace with the game anymore. He's getting up there in age. A lot of people, will say that he's definitely a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't know about that. He definitely has the points to get up there. 1,332 games played, 476 goals, 1,068 points. Definitely, up there on the all-time points list. But he never got a cup. Whether it was in Dallas or obviously in San Jose, when he had multiple chances with San Jose to win a cup. And quite frankly, he did with Dallas here too, but ultimately Dallas just fell short this year and last year as well. Pavelski, definitely, a great player of this era. And he's definitely going to be missed out on the ice. I kind of wonder if he's going to become a coach. I think he definitely will be. If you look at the way he got young players in both San Jose and Dallas better in the NHL, just working with them, he's got those good coaching abilities. But maybe he'll become a GM. Who knows? But Mike, your thoughts on Pavelski? Because I know obviously you were a huge Sharks fan, so a big fan of him, of course.
Yeah, I was a huge, of course, Sharks fan, and then Pavelski was there for a decent amount of time there. And, yeah, he was probably one of my favorite players when he was there. He was always very good, and then seeing him transition to Dallas, never winning that cup, they got screwed. The Sharks got screwed back, 2018?
Yeah, I think something like that. Yeah, when Washington won their cup, yeah.
Yeah, and in 2016 they got to the Cup Finals, but they lost. But yeah, man, Pavelski, like you said, man, he can go on to be a coach. He's mentored these younger players, and just seeing all the progress that he has made through them, it's been great. And I hope he gets into the Hall of Fame. He'll probably get into the Hall of Fame, but like you said, first ballot's kind of questionable. I'm not too sure how strict or lenient the NHL Hall of Fame is compared to other sports. Like baseball's super difficult to get into, while NBA is pretty easy as long as you were somewhat of a star player.
It's a little bit harder to get in than the NBA. But nowhere near as hard as the Baseball Hall of Fame, of course. I don't think anything is nearly as hard as that. But it's just the fact that he never won a Stanley Cup, and I think that's going to knock him down probably off the first ballot. But I mean, he'll definitely be a Hall of Famer. He has the points to do it. He had the career otherwise outside of that championship to do it. So he'll definitely get in there at some point, but we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, wish him the best in retirement, and hopefully he does stick around the league. MLB news here today. Tucupita or Tucu, yeah, fuck it, I can't even fucking say. Marcano has been banned from the MLB for life, betting on placing hundreds of bets on games, including games of Pittsburgh, which is where he was last year. So yeah, he has so according to ESPN, he placed 387 bets, totaling more than $150,000 between October of 2022 and July last year. I mean, man, I don't think this is the last we see of a player betting on sports, especially sports that they're in.
It's ridiculous that they're doing this now.
Yeah, and the thing is that these leagues don't want these players to do it, but they're shoving these sports books down everyone's throats during the broadcast, commercials, all that shit. It's like, what are we doing here? But this is not the first time. This is not going to be the last time, I should say, that this is going to happen. It's probably going to happen to someone in the NHL. It's probably going to happen to someone in the NBA. It's probably going to happen to someone in the NFL, where they're. Because, like, obviously we know, like, Jameson Williams last year was suspended for the first 5 games of the season.
And it already happened in the NBA. I don't know if you remember, Jonte Porter came out a few months ago. He was betting on himself.
That's right. I completely forgot about that.
And he got banned, too. Same thing. It's like, it's getting ridiculous, man. Like, these guys just keep betting on themselves.
Yeah, it's like it's fine if you bet, just don't bet on the sport that you are playing in. For fuck's sake, it's not that hard. Like if I was an NHL player, for example, man, I would not be betting on any NHL games. I'd be betting on NFL shit and NBA shit and MLB shit all day long. I can get away with that as long as I'm doing it off team property. Not gonna fucking throw my career away betting on the sport that I am playing in, man. It takes away the integrity of the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous that these guys know better too, and it's like, it's so weird because it's like not like football. It's not like CTE. Like, you can't even blame it on that. It's just like stupidity, man. Like I said, man, if you want to, like, I don't know if baseball has it legal to where you can bet on other sports. But you said NHL, it is legal, right? You can bet on other sports as long as you just don't bet on NHL games.
I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what I've heard before, is that you can bet on other sports if you're an NHL player, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Man, even if you can't bet at all, it's like, bro, you guys are making millions of dollars. Like, I get, like, gambling is more than just the money. It's more of the thrill. That's, like, what everyone gets from it, the thrill, the excitement. But it's just like, to throw your career away over like a thrill like gambling, it's just, I don't understand it, man.
No, I don't get it either. It's just pure stupidity. You know,
the whole Otani situation too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, man, and just after another betting scandal involving Shohei Otani, now we have this, and it's just like, man, what are players ever gonna learn? It's not like they're not, you know, like you said, it's not like they have CTE and, you know, you can blame it on that. I mean, it's baseball. No one's getting hit in the head constantly like that. So it's just pure stupidity, and I don't think this is the last of it, whether it's in the MLB, the NHL, NFL, etc. This is not the end of it, and the only way we can really rein this in, I think, is just stop having these leagues promote gambling so much. I mean, gambling is one of the biggest addiction crises that we have in this country, and they're just making it worse by promoting gambling so much, and now players are getting in on it, and it really does come down to the leagues, not doing anything to prevent, players from doing this so much. But it's just ridiculous.
I saw a comment, and it was very, very telling with what you're saying right now. They were saying how on ESPN they're reporting that that this guy's getting a lifetime ban, and then on the next commercial break it'll be like sponsored by DraftKings Sportsbook. It's like ridiculous. Like you said, man, they're promoting it like all the time, and they're getting so much money from these gambling companies to promote their product. But you also want to shame the players for gambling. So, like, what is it like? Are we supporting gambling or are we not supporting gambling? I mean, in the end, they're just supporting getting money, right?
Right, and look, I am 100% for gambling on sports. Bet responsibly, people. Always, always, always bet responsibly. But man, the fact that they don't want their players to be betting on games, and I completely understand that, especially if they're betting on the league that they're playing in, because that really takes away the integrity of games. If the only way I see this, getting fixed as a problem is if the leagues stop promoting gambling so goddamn much. Stop, forcing it down everyone's throats, and most people will start to forget about it. Players will start to forget about it. But if they just keep, forcing it down everyone's throats, I don't see an end to this. And even then, I don't know if that's the best solution for it.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it goes.
So it's just a mess. This whole situation with Marcano, bleh. And we'll just go from there. But Mike, now let's get into what today's episode is really all about, and that is the NBA Finals. So I'll just let you take it over from here, and I'll chime in whenever I need to.
Yes, sir. So we got the number 1 seed Boston Celtics, who we've kind of been talking about all year in the power rankings, being like the number 1 team, with the number 5 seed Dallas Mavericks coming out of the West, which it was definitely a surprise because, I mean, I feel like most people had the Nuggets, including myself, going into the postseason for the West, but the West was, again, just so deep. The first 5 seeds all were over 50-win teams. It was crazy series after crazy series. Dallas, they played the Clippers in the first round, and that was a 4-5 matchup. The Clippers gave them a good battle, but Dallas was able to pull through. Then Dallas faced OKC, the 1 seed, who it was going to be interesting to see what OKC did. And they beat them in 6 games, so... again, I thought OKC was going to win just because I thought, they had the better team, but Luka Doncic went up against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 2 of the top 5 players in the league, and Luka came out on top. And then Minnesota, who was probably the most red-hot team throughout the playoffs with big wins after big wins and beating the defending champions. And then just to beat them in the way that they did, they gentlemen sweep them. It was... very, very interesting to see. The Mavs are on fire right now, which is interesting to say because the Celtics, people are like, the Celtics run was very dominant, or the Celtics are just going by teams, but I don't know. The Celtics didn't look as dominant to me as Dallas did. Dallas was beating, again, consistent 50-win teams, hard-fought series, and Boston's just playing no one. So Boston, though, is going to have a lot more rest. Both teams are going to be decently rested because both their series finished up pretty early. But Boston, of course, has been used to sweeping teams, which they've done. They won in 5 against the Heat, and then I believe 5 or 6 against Cleveland, and then they swept Indiana. But yeah, people were making jokes about this series that. Just like how Dirk Nowitzki won in 2011 with Dallas. He was a European star facing a 28-year-old superstar, which LeBron was at the time. Now we have Jason Tatum, who is in that same boat. 28-year-old super team, I should say, because the Celtics now, some people are quoting them as like a super team. Boston definitely has the better team in the series, but Dallas definitely has the best player. I'm taking Luka Doncic over Jason Tatum any day. I think Luka's proven to be the better player. Kyrie Irving as well. Um, it's an interesting storyline because Kyrie used to play in Boston. He kind of left Boston on bad terms, and now he's playing Boston in the finals. And the Celtics center Kristaps Porzingis used to play with Dallas for a few years, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes because it's always very interesting to see players play their former team, especially if they left on bad terms, like Kyrie Irving did. And for me personally, I'm gonna roll with Dallas in this series. I'm pulling for Dallas. I think a lot of people are hating a little bit too much on Boston. I don't really like Boston that much, but I get some people that are like, "Man, fuck Boston. Boston's the worst." Like, at least Boston hasn't won with this team yet. But I understand they're not really that exciting. I feel like Tatum and Brown are just kind of like Luka and Kyrie are way more exciting to watch, and Dallas is again just a team that no one really expected to be here. They weren't the odds-on favorite. Boston's been the odds-on favorite all season long, so it's kind of like, we don't want to see the odds-on favorite win. We want to see the underdog kind of come up and win. Seeing a 5 seed win the finals will be super interesting. My prediction though is going to be Mavs in. Ooh, do I say Mavs in 6 or Mavs in 7? I'm going to say Mavs in 6, but I do think that this could go 7 games. A lot of the commentary or sports talk shows, I should say, have been kind of split on this series, I feel like. I've seen a lot of people pick Boston. I've seen a lot of people pick Dallas. It's kind of going either way. I'm picking Dallas to win. Even though Boston is better, they got the odds-on favorite to win. And the team that's been favored the last 10 finals have won 7 of them. And the only exceptions were the 2016 Cavs, which came back from a 3-1 deficit against the Warriors, which that had never been done before. So they're kind of an outlier team. The 2019 Raptors, who beat the Warriors when the Warriors team was just getting all injured in the finals again. Another exception to the rule. And I guess the one you can kind of say that was really an underdog that won was the 2021 Bucks. They beat the Suns when the Suns won up 2-0 on them, and they won 4 straight. But other than that, yeah, the favorites won a lot over the last 10 years. But I'm pulling for Dallas, man. I know that was a lot to kind of go over, but is there anything else that you want to cover with the Celtics Mavericks?
Yeah, quite a bit actually. I want to cover here.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I shouldn't say quite a bit, but a decent amount. First off, I think it's gonna be Mavs in 7. I know. I think Boston has a home advantage in this series, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they
Um,
do.
I think what it really boils down to is now, yes, the Celtics. They earned an easy route to the playoffs. I mean, being the best team in the league is hard to do, and you earn that easy route to the playoffs. You play the 8 seed first round and go from there. But they didn't play a top 3 team in the Eastern Conference. And most of the series, or at least most of the games in the series for Boston, they didn't play against the team's superstar. Everyone that they played against had their superstar injured. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and with Dallas, this is the first team that Boston's going to face that they're going to have both their superstars playing with Kyrie and with Luka here. So I think it's going to be interesting unless they can pull some voodoo magic and get both of those two injured, because it seems like that's what they were doing in the first 3 rounds of the playoffs here. Um, it's going to be a tough series for Boston. I think Dallas, they went through the grind being a 5 seed, having to play some really really good teams, and um, they beat a very very good, very young Timberwolves team in the last round, and I just think they're much better built than Boston for this series. And like I said, Boston hasn't truly been tested in the playoffs yet either, and I think that might be a huge factor going into this because, like I said, Dallas very very well tested so far in the series or in the playoffs.
Yeah, very, very well tested. Boston, again, it's so up in the air because I guess we'll have to see how game one goes. I mean, it's not going to tell the whole series because, like I just mentioned with the Bucks Suns back in 2021, the Suns went up 2-0. I think everyone at that point was like, yeah, the Suns are going to win this. And then the Bucks just came out four straight and they took the series. So I think that Boston has a good chance to win game one. They're definitely going to be favored to win game one. If Dallas steals game one, ooh, Celtics fans are going to be a little bit concerned because, I mean, you got to win that first home game and you're favored and you're the better team. Like, Boston's the better team in this series. And we talked about all year that if they didn't get to the finals, it would be a huge disappointment. So now if they're in the finals, like, are they gonna disappoint? Because I think anything less of winning right now is just a disappointment for them. They won like 65 games in the regular season. Let me just double check that real quick. Yeah, they won 64 games, um, and had very dominant playoff run. Even though I wouldn't say dominant in the fact that they just destroyed teams, but dominant in the fact that they were winning series pretty quickly, and uh, just seeing their path to the finals compared to Dallas's path, it's interesting to see the contrast. And Dallas is a lot more battle tested. Celtics have been in this position before. In 2022, they lost to the Golden State Warriors, so they lose again. So it'll be the second time they've lost in 3 years in the finals. And again, anything short of winning it for them is just a disappointment. But Dallas has already overachieved, but to go for that title, and this is where I think that Dallas needs it more because, well, for one, Dallas only has the one title in their franchise, and it was one of the most exciting titles ever. That a lot of people say was like the best championship ever, with Dirk Nowitzki taking a bunch of not scrubs, but just players that were past their prime to beat the LeBron, Wade, Bosh, Miami Heat team. That was like the first super team, the first year that they were together. But also, Luka has the ability to be called the best player in the world. When you win the championship in the NBA, man, you are able to hold that trophy. You get talked about as like, okay, this guy won the championship. Like, we got to be considering him as the best player in the league. So last year that was with Jokic. I mean, Jokic was already pretty much considered the best, but that really solidified Jokic as the best player in the league. If Luka wins it this year, if not, I think he's for sure at least number two in the league right now. Maybe people will still say Jokic is better, which I definitely understand, but it's definitely going to put him in that conversation of being the best player in the NBA right now. I think he jumps over Giannis, he jumps over Shea for sure, and jumps over Embiid, especially just getting to the finals, but winning it could be considered the best player in the world at that point, and that's a huge, huge honor, man, because they've been saying since LeBron and Steph are getting older, man, who's going to be the new face of the league? We said, Giannis at points. Some people have said Jokic. Luka's like a perfect face for the league because he is just a crazy personality. He's someone who's not afraid to take the big shots. He kind of plays a little bit like Kobe or Jordan mentality-wise, where he'll keep chucking and keep trying to make shots and not scared to take the final shot.
Yeah, and the thing is that's really nice about these finals this year is, a superstar on either team is finally going to get their first ring. So that's obviously been kind of that was the story of the conference finals was we got four teams all with a superstar that haven't won a ring yet, and now that's the story for the finals, and I find that very fascinating. Um, and like you said, I think Luka. I think right now he's probably a top three player in the league.
Hmm.
I think I'd still say Jokic is the best in the league right now, and as far as the face of the league now, I don't know. We still don't really know, but I think this if Luca wins the championship this year, I think you could make him the face of your league now because obviously LeBron's going to be retiring here very soon, and Curry's he's not as good as he used to be. He's still a great player. Don't get me wrong, but um, it's time for a new face of the league. And I was going to make a joke originally when you first started talking about new face of the league. I said, "Oh, we already know it's going to be Bronny," um, but no, it's not. No, it's not. But yeah, no, it's just going to be a very, very interesting finals. And in the NHL, we have this thing where if you're on the road to start a playoff series and you win game one on the road, it's gonna last. That game one win will last you so long in that series. It goes a long way. I don't know how true that is in the NBA, but if Dallas goes into Boston Thursday night and comes away with the victory, um, I would be concerned as a Celtics fan, just because first of all, you want as a Celtics fan, you want your team to win it, of course. Um, but man, I would just be so concerned because it's been so long since you've won a championship, and you just want this group to finally succeed, and now you're looking at a 1-0 series deficit at home. So yeah, it's just for Dallas to do that, man, that would be absolutely incredible. But I think, yeah, I don't know what the betting lines are right now, but I'm pretty sure Boston's favored for game one.
Oh yeah, for sure. They're definitely favored. I know they're for sure favored in the series. I was gonna mention too. I know we've kind of made a joke about this. I might have mentioned this in the conference finals video once the Nuggets were knocked out. I don't think so though, but this is gonna be um, it's the sixth straight year that we're gonna have a new champion. So in 2018 it was the Warriors, 19 was the Raptors, 20 was the Lakers, 21 was the Bucks, 22 was the Warriors, and 23 was the Nuggets. So this year it's either going to be Boston or Dallas, and that's the first time in the NBA that's happened since 1974 through 1980. So parity's coming back. We're having new teams come up, and uh, I know that you said that's always been a concern for you with the NBA is like just like the same teams every year. It was the Warriors and the Cavs all those years not too long ago, but now we're getting new teams, man, and it's very cool to see new teams getting a shot at the title.
Yeah, and I think what part of that has to do with is just the league's just getting more and more talented every year. And
Mm-hmm.
guys are constantly on the move and they're just seeking the bag really, and I think that's really helping increase the parity of the league. And it's like the NFL. I mean, it's built to be parity. There's plenty of parity in the NFL. Obviously you can look at the Brady years saying, "Oh, what are you talking about?" But if you look at the playoffs in general, there's a lot of different teams in the playoffs each of those years. It's just Brady was the GOAT. And now I think we're starting to see that a little bit with the Kansas City Chiefs. But it's a lot of different teams still in the playoffs every single year. Um, and obviously the NHL, tons of parity there. Um, but yeah, it's nice to see that some big parity in the NBA because you said it was 74 to 1980. Gee, that's
Since there was a non back to back champion. So this is a 6 year stretch of uh, teams not going back to back. That hasn't happened since the 70s.
That's just fucking wild. I mean, because like you think about it, and in the NHL, it's very rare that we see back-to-back championships. I mean, it used to be that way back in the 80s and especially back in the original six era. But I mean, that's because it's a six-team league at the time. But regardless, we didn't see a back-to-back champion in the NHL after the Red Wings did it in '97 and '98 until Pittsburgh did it in what was it 15-16 or 16-17, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously we had Tampa, the most recent team to do it. And they almost did a three-peat, which hasn't happened since Edmonton, I think, in the 80s.
Yeah, I was gonna say NBA. The last three-peat was the Lakers in the early 2000s. So even a three-peat is insane. Like that just doesn't happen in sports, man.
Yeah, no, it does not happen very often in sports. But it's nice to see the NBA get a lot of parity back. I wouldn't say a lot, but it's definitely nice to see some parity now in the NBA. There isn't really a dominant team, dynasty out there right now. Although if Boston does win it this year, I'd say just look out, for them to become a dynasty team for the next few years. But it is nice to see that. But yeah, this is going to be a very interesting series. Like I said, I think Dallas in 7. I just think they're more tested. I think the only reason why I won't say in 6 is because Dallas has played a couple more games than Boston has. So they have a little bit more mileage on their team than what Boston has. So I think that favors, of course, Boston. But I just think being more well tested in the playoffs like Dallas is, that's going to benefit them more than having that couple extra games of rest in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I think that's gonna wrap us up. Thursday's episode. We'll talk about any other small news like that came up today, like with Pavelski retiring and Marcano getting lifetime ban from the MLB. But Thursday's episode, it's just gonna be us talking about the NHL Stanley Cup Finals. It's going to be a very interesting series, and we will break that completely down for you on Thursday's episode. So with that said, rate, review, subscribe, help us out. Let us know what you guys want to see. Keep sharing the podcast. We're going to keep growing this thing. Thank you guys so much again for listening, and we will see you guys on Thursday.